Double check your packing list, triple check your plans, and watch this video to make sure you're prepared for your next trip to Disney World. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Today we're covering a whole bunch of the little things that you'll encounter in Disney World that you totally aren't going to think about until you're there. A lot of these are things that I didn't even think about until I experienced them this past year. So that means some unexpected costs, unplanned hassles, and brushes with local wildlife. These are 15 things you never considered before you went to Disney World. First up, allergies during the Flower and Garden Festival. Now, this is a thing that started out this whole idea for this video, is that the last time I was at Flower and Garden Festival earlier this year, actually the first day of it, my allergies went crazy and I don't even have allergies really. So the fact that I don't usually have to deal with allergies and suddenly I was sneezing all over the place and had to take like an allergy pill made me think that you guys might need to know about this. Now, Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival is a must visit, of course, if you're in Disney World during the spring. It's typically held from the beginning of March until the beginning of June. There are outdoor kitchens, which is basically food booths, where you can try foods where they focus on fresh ingredients and lots of flowers. Now, the festival incorporates dozens of floral displays and topiaries in the park, and while it's all gorgeous, it's a lot of different flowers and green leafy things, and there are probably quite a few you haven't been around before, which can mean surprise allergies. So even if you don't have allergies at home or only have them during the fall or like ragweed season or whatever my doctor talks about all the time, we'd strongly suggest bringing some allergy meds along with you just in case, or just picking up one of those little 2-packs at the airport or something and just having those with you just in case you have a reaction. Oh, and also be sure to get one of those allergy pills that actually works immediately. You don't have to wait like 3 days for it to start taking effect, if you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't. I don't know. This is what people tell me. Like I said, I don't really have allergies, but that particular day I needed to take one of those quick-acting allergy pills. All right, next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World. All advice is not good advice. So even if it is good advice, it might not be good for you or good for right now. And even some of the advice we give here at DFB might steer you wrong if it's not what's best for you or for the day you're in the parks. When it comes to ride wait times, we'll often tell you to ride early or ride late, but to definitely avoid those middle of the day crowds. During the summer, maybe don't wait to ride that popular outdoor ride until later in the day though, because rain might cause it to close down. If something is on your must-do list, don't wait, especially when the forecast is calling for rain, as you might miss out on riding altogether. These are rides like Test Track or Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Those rides that are partially outside, those are going to shut down in the rain or if there's any sort of thunderstorm anywhere close. So while we often say, hey, don't ride first thing in the morning, wait until the crowds sort of die down in the afternoon, that's not necessarily the best advice if it's the middle of the summer and you know that your must-do ride is outside, because those rainstorms come every day in Disney World in the summer. So if that's the case, it's better to wait in the longer line than to miss out altogether. So look at all the advice you get for your Disney World trip through the lens and perspective of when you're going to be there, what your most important things are, and what your family likes and doesn't like. We always try here at DFB to make sure to give you our advice, but then to give you the information around why we give you that advice. Because we expect you can take that and then say, well, but my family is X or Y or Z, and that doesn't apply to us. And totally, that makes perfect sense. So don't just take advice at face value. Make sure that you are actually looking at it through the lens of your family. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all Disney trip. Okay, the next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World, love bugs. All right, you don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Cars. I'm not talking about a Disney movie. These are actual little bugs. They can be everywhere in Florida a couple of times a year. Love bug season typically peaks in May and again in September. Now, they don't bite or sting, but they will fly into your hotel room if you leave the door open too long, and they will fly right into your face when you're least expecting it. During peak love bug season, those love bugs are everywhere. You will see them everywhere. If you drive a car around Florida, you're going to have dead love bugs all over your car. Now, they're not too much of a nuisance besides the fact that they're all over the place and they do not understand personal space. So if you're driving, you might want to wash your car because those little bugs can ruin the paint if they stay stuck on too long. Just be aware, those are love bugs when you see them. All right, and speaking of love bugs, the next thing on our list is other wildlife. Now, you may think that Disney World is kind of in a bubble and they control everything around, but the bottom line is they are built on swampland. And so there is a lot of swamp-related wildlife that is around. So that includes snakes, alligators, very, very large bugs, very large spiders, all a part of Florida's ecosystem. And that means they can be a part of Disney World as well. So you're going to see signs along some more wooded walking trails and along waterways to warn you of snakes and gators. And that's not theming. They are absolutely out there. Most of the time, they'll be more afraid of you than you are of them, but stay aware and stay away if you see some of that Florida wildlife. And be sure to train your kids. Those are not audio animatronics. Those are not just placed there because Disney put them there. If they see a gator, if they see a snake, that is a real gator, that is a real snake. So train them to sort of stay away from that sort of wildlife. The next thing you never really considered before you went to Disney World, but you definitely want to be prepared for, is cash tips. Now, this is a really easy one to not think about until you're in the moment of needing to tip someone. When you're budgeting your trip, remember cash tips for housekeeping, valet, bellhops, etc. And also, if you're on the Disney dining plan, which we know doesn't exist right now, but I imagine it will come back, you do need to tip your servers. That's not included in the dining plan. No, it doesn't have to be a cash tip, but you do need to tip them, so be prepared for that. Now, we're so used to paying with our cards or magic bands for everything at Disney World that it's easy to forget you might need some cold hard cash for a few things. We have a great video that goes into the hidden expenses of a Disney trip and gives some helpful guidelines on tipping at Disney, so be sure to check that one out next. Next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World, but it's going to make a big impact on your trip, is parking, especially right now. If you're driving to Disney for the first time, all the different parking fees, preferred parking, where you can park, when you have to pay for parking, it can all get a little confusing. So if you're staying in a Disney hotel, parking is going to be charged per night based on the level of your hotel. So that's $15 for value resorts, $20 for moderate resorts, and $25 for deluxe resorts. That's the only parking fee you'll pay, as that includes parking at the theme parks as well. Now, valet parking is available at deluxe resorts for $33 per night right now. And Disney Vacation Club members won't be charged a parking fee if they're staying at a Disney Vacation Club villa or if they're using their points to stay at another resort. Now, if you're staying off-site, you'll need to pay to park at all the theme parks, $25 per day. You can pay extra for preferred parking. That will get you a little closer to the entrance, and that costs $45 to $50 per day, depending on the time of year. And for Disney hotel guests, there's an added charge of $20 to $25 for preferred parking, because you're not charged a parking fee because you've already paid for parking at your hotel. Now, preferred parking can be beneficial if the parks are super crowded and you don't want to spend a lot of time on parking lot trams, or you'll need to make several trips back to the car throughout the day. Those are all good times to pay for preferred parking. Right now, those trams aren't running, but with low capacities, you probably won't be too far out in the lot right now anyhow. If you need a handicap space, that is available without an extra fee and with a valid disability parking permit. Also, just FYI, valet parking at the resorts is also free with a valid handicap disability permit. Disney Springs does offer free parking, or you can do valet for $20 per day. Now, if you're a Disney Vacation Club member or annual pass holder, you'll get free parking at the theme parks even if you're not staying at a hotel that Disney owns. Now, if you just need to drop somebody off, there is a separate drop-off zone if you're just dropping someone off and not parking. And that doesn't matter if you're staying at a hotel or not staying at a hotel, or if you're driving a taxi. You can still get in to drop somebody off. You don't need to pay to do that. Remember, if you are driving to the Magic Kingdom, you'll need to park at the Transportation and Ticket Center and take a monorail or ferry to the park itself. The other parks have lots with walking access to the entrance. All right, the next thing you didn't consider before you went to Disney World, this one's really frustrating, you guys. Night lights and reading lights. Now, some Disney World hotel rooms have reading lights, but very few have night lights. And once you turn everything off and shut the curtains, it is dark in those rooms, even in the middle of the day. So this is a good thing to consider. Whether you have little ones who are afraid of the dark or not, bring a night light so you can find the bathroom without tripping over things in the dark. Some of the rooms that have been refurbished or refitted do have those little night lights in the bathrooms, like on the light switch, but that doesn't light up a whole lot either. It just kind of shows you where the light switch is. Now, if you typically stay up and read after you put the kids to bed, you may want to bring along a small reading light as well. Some rooms have smaller lights by the beds for reading, but many only have bright overhead lights that can keep kiddos awake. I can remember I was staying at Caribbean Beach recently, and all they had was a kind of big LED light over the bed, and that was the only sort of reading light, and it was way too bright. No, you couldn't put a kid to sleep unless they're really not bothered at all in a really bright room. So reading lights come in really, really handy. Those little book lights that you can buy, or I really love these little wraparound, it's like a wraparound double flashlight that you can put around your neck, and you can just turn that on and read by it too. Those are really cool. All right, along the same line, something you don't consider before you go to Disney World, because this is usually not the case in most hotels, there are no clocks in many of the hotel rooms. Clocks are straight up just gone from a lot of Disney hotel rooms. They did this a few years ago. They've got about 1,000 USB plugs so you can charge your phone anywhere in the room, but you're going to be using that to check the time. If you need to have a clock visible to keep yourself on time like I do, because I'm always late for everything, consider bringing a travel alarm clock. They're really easy to find. You can buy them real cheap on Amazon or at Target or at Walmart or wherever, and just grab one and keep it in your suitcase so that anywhere you go, you've got one just in case that hotel room does not have a clock. Next thing you didn't consider before you went to Disney World, you won't find all Disney merchandise in every single shop. So some stores or some parks only carry certain things. If you see something and you want it, you should probably get it, especially if it's something that might sell out like a new pair of ears. They won't be stocked everywhere right off the bat. If you're looking for Haunted Mansion specific merchandise, you should head to Memento Mori in Magic Kingdom. And while you'll find Star Wars goodies all over Disney World, especially all over Hollywood Studios, there are still a few things you'll only find in Galaxy's Edge. This is especially important when there's no park hopping and required park pass reservations. You can't easily swing back to grab that one thing you've been regretting not buying. Disney World has a great return policy, so if you're having buyer's remorse, you can return something to any cashier across the parks or resorts. Now, a lot of people advise that you wait till the end of your trip, go to World of Disney, and just buy everything you wanted. But at this point, not everything in the parks can be found at World of Disney, and some of that stuff does sell out really, really quickly right now. And so if you see it in the park and you like it, just buy it. The next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World is childcare. So Disney World used to have children's activity centers at many hotels where you could drop off your kid with a babysitter while you enjoyed an evening out. But those centers are basically gone now. They're kind of just family arts and crafts stations that require parental supervision, though they're not all open at the moment. The Dolphin Resort is the only resort on property that offers a child care service anymore, although it is also temporarily closed. It typically costs $12 per hour per child. Now, the Kids Night Out in-room babysitting service is still running right now. That is not a Disney-owned service. It is a third-party service, and they basically send a babysitter to your hotel room. And that's still running with added safety precautions. Rates start at $18 per hour with a 4-hour minimum and can be booked via kidsnightout.com. Now, I have personally used Kids Night Out. I didn't have a great experience with it. There aren't a lot of other options right now, and Kids Night Out does have a lot of positive reviews as well. So do your research. If you need a babysitter, if you want a parents' night out while you're in Disney World, they don't have those childcare locations anymore. So you're going to have to figure out a babysitter situation. Another thing you don't consider before you go to Disney World is that shampoo and soap deal. Remember that many hotels now have shared amenities instead of individual items, which might make you feel a little weird in the days of COVID-19. Most shampoo, conditioner, and body wash is going to be in that wall-mounted dispenser in your hotel room shower. You're not going to get those little mini bottles at most of the resorts. Now, several deluxe resorts do still give you mini bottles of amenities, but most of Disney's hotels are going to have that wall-mounted dispenser. And obviously everything in your hotel room, including those shampoo dispensers, are being sanitized before you go in there. But if you prefer your own bottle of shampoo or conditioner or soap, remember to bring it yourself from home. Next thing you've never considered before you went to Disney World, the importance of smells. That's right, scents. If you've been to Disney a bunch, I can just Mention the smell of the water in Pirates of the Caribbean and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can almost smell it right now, right? Well, Disney knows how important smells are when creating an atmosphere and how much they affect our emotions and our nostalgic reactions. And after you visit the parks, you might start to understand that too. Disney uses smellitizers, yep, that's the official name, all over Disney World to add another layer to your experience. You'll smell the Library of Alexandria actually burning on Spaceship Earth. By the way, that's not Rome. Just for those of you who think that's Rome burning, Rome's not burning. It's Alexandria, the library, not Rome, FYI. The sea breeze on Soarin', whatever that kind of oceany rain smell is on Flight of Passage. Resorts have their own scents too. All of the deluxe resorts have a signature scent that is literally piped into the lobby and into the hallways. And that Pirates water, well, that one is more of a byproduct of keeping the water clean. It's actually bromine. But the smell is still incredibly iconic to Disney park goers. Next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World, but you need to, is how to get your souvenirs home. All right, we've all been there, the last night of vacation, and you're trying to cram all your laundry and all those souvenirs and those wine bottles. Is that just me, the wine bottles? Maybe it's you too? I don't know. Into your bag, and it's not happening. If there's even a chance you might buy something that might be too big for your suitcase, bring a collapsible duffel bag. They're super inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon. They take up just a tiny amount of space, and you can actually check them at the airport. I bring collapsible duffel bags all the time, and I fill them up and I check them back home. But what's great is it doesn't take up much space, so if you don't end up needing it, then it's not taking up a whole bunch of room. Or you can always mail those souvenirs home. This is something a lot of people don't know. Disney will ship pretty much anything directly home for you. Just ask for it to be shipped when you purchase it, or take your items to the hotel gift shop and they should be able to help you out. Even if you didn't buy them there, just as long as they have kind of a Disney tag and a Disney UPC symbol that they can scan, they can send that back for you. Now, if you're buying a bottle of wine during Epcot's Food and Wine Festival, think about how you're wrapping that so it doesn't break in your luggage. You can buy wine bubble wrap containers ahead of time if you think you might buy some. You can wrap it up in a lot of clothes. There's lots of ways to do it, but definitely think about it before you buy that. And we get asked all the time about how to travel with a lightsaber. So just carry it on the plane with you. We haven't encountered any issues with TSA or putting it in an overhead bin, but you can always put it in your checked luggage or ship it home instead. Okay, the next thing you never considered before you went to Disney World is that not everything is running or open right now. Now, this sounds obvious. You guys are like, AJ, come on. This is all you've been talking about for like 3 months now, that this stuff is open, this stuff isn't open. But believe it or not, you get in the vibe of when you go to Disney World, you remember how it used to be and you just forget, especially when it comes to transportation. So a lot of the things that you're used to having open and you're used to being able to use aren't running right now, and you're not going to be able to use. So you're going to have to kind of retrain your brain and reroute those connections in your brain to get from here to there, or to do the things you want to do. Like, it's super weird that the Epcot monorail isn't running right now, and that soon the Polynesian won't have monorail access while the resort goes under its refurb. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, I have a sit-down breakfast somewhere, oh I love Kona Cafe, I'll go to Kona Cafe. Just remember, if you go to Kona Cafe, you're going to have to drive there. You're not going to be able to take the monorail. And if you're at another resort, even another monorail resort, you're not going to be able to take a monorail or a boat. You're going to have to get in your car and drive over there. So that's definitely something to think about, because it's going to probably add an extra hour to your experience, even if you're literally at the Contemporary. And also remember, boats aren't running in most cases. So if you're used to your normal transportation, you may need to reconsider how to get from point A to point B. Epcot festival booths and some kiosks aren't open every day, which is a super shocker, because you can think, oh yeah, I'm totally going to go to Epcot. I've got a park pass reservation. I'm going to go to Epcot on Tuesday. Well, guess what? A lot of those festival booths are only open on the weekends right now, because the demand isn't high enough for them to make enough money if they open through the week. And some kiosks have sporadic hours. So many restaurants around Disney World are still closed. They're operating differently. They're only open certain days, or they're only open certain hours. Be Our Guest restaurant isn't open for breakfast anymore, for example. A lot of Disney Springs restaurants are closed on certain days. Cinderella's Royal Table is open, but there's no princesses. So there are a lot of things that are different or changed or weird that even if you get a reservation at a particular location you want to go to, that doesn't mean it's going to feel the same as it did before. And if you're going to Disney Springs and you're thinking, of course, I'll eat at Wolfgang Puck Grill, because why wouldn't it be open on a Tuesday night? Well, it may not be open on a Tuesday night because they're only open on certain days. So definitely be thinking about that, checking all that stuff. We're, of course, reporting it on the daily. Like, we're giving you all the information you need to know. And we also have a full blog post that we're updating regularly of what's open and what's not open. So go check that out. That's definitely a great source of information when there's a lot of this stuff that you may miss, you may not catch if you don't read the whole newsletter, and you may be really surprised when you get to Disney World. And it's kind of a weird time for Disney World right now, and while more things are opening every day, it's not quite back to normal just yet. Now, something else that you might not even think about before you go to Disney World is that there's a lot going on outside of Disney World. So Orlando has some top restaurants, not to mention other attractions, and you can do a lot more than just visit Disney. Many people plan their trip to Disney World, take the Magical Express to their hotel, check in, and stay on property the entire time. And I'm not going to lie, that's what I do most of the time, and that's totally fine. But if you've got some people in your traveling party with other interests, then there's plenty to do in the area that isn't a Disney park. On top of other theme parks and outlet shopping, you're not a far drive to Florida's beaches or the Kennedy Space Center if you have someone in your family who's a budding astronaut. A trip to Florida doesn't just need to be a trip to Disney World. There's a lot more to do, so consider that before you head to Disney World. Now, do you feel more prepared for the unexpected now? Our team has experienced everything on this list, the good and the bad, and we love to pass on our experiences and our tips to you guys to help you have a better trip. Love bugs are a total drag. Allergies can be a mess. Be prepared. Know what you need to know to get from point A to point B. Know what's running and what's not running. Know what's open and what's not open. It makes a huge difference. So, what's something unexpected you hadn't considered before you got to Disney World? Let us know in the comments because that really helps other viewers as they're planning their trips so they can see what mistakes you made and then they can hopefully not make the same mistakes. So, share the love, share the wealth, share the knowledge and the information because we've all been there. And that's honestly how I try to figure out videos I want to do here on the channel is where have I been stuck that I don't want anyone else to get stuck? What have I experienced that I don't want anyone else to ever have to experience? And so that's oftentimes the kernel of an idea for a new video is how can I keep you guys from making the same mistakes that I have made or that people on our team have made? So hopefully this will be helpful and this will help you bypass some of those errors that you may not have been expecting. Thanks for listening, you guys, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.